December 31st, 2025. Somewhere in the dense woods of Faulkner County, Arkansas, a hunter was tracking game through an area so thick with vegetation that simply moving through it was difficult. It was New Year's Eve. But before the day was over, the hunter would make a discovery that would bring an 8-year mystery back to life. Hidden in the woods were what appeared to be human remains. Nearby were pieces of clothing and personal belongings. Authorities were called, and investigators began searching the surrounding area. At first, there was no official confirmation of whose remains had been found. But the location immediately raised an unsettling possibility. More than 8 years earlier, a woman named Kelly Evans had disappeared from this same part of rural Arkansas. Search teams had looked for her. Her family had waited for her. Years had passed without an answer. Now, investigators had found something in the woods. And the question everyone had been asking since 2017 was about to change, from "Where is Kelly Evans?" to something even more difficult: what happened to her? To understand how Kelly Evans ended up at the center of an 8-year mystery, we have to go back to October 2017. Kelly was 54 years old and living in rural Faulkner County, Arkansas. Her disappearance didn't begin with a dramatic 911 call or a crime scene surrounded by police. Instead, something much quieter happened. Kelly simply stopped being seen. Her family knew that Kelly sometimes kept to herself, and going a short period without speaking wasn't necessarily unusual. But as the days passed without contact, concern began to grow. Her daughter, Nikki Driscoll, would later describe how difficult that uncertainty became. What might initially have seemed like a period of silence eventually became something much more frightening: her mother was missing. And once authorities became involved, the search for Kelly would expand far beyond the area immediately around her home.
Yeah, Chris, Beth, Nikki Driscoll has never stopped looking for her mom, even recently beefing up efforts to find her, working with local law enforcement, putting out flyers and a billboard like the one you see behind me in an effort to hopefully one day see her mom again.
My mom had a personality that could light up the room. She had a wit that would catch you off guard and a sense of humor. She could make anybody laugh.
Nikki Driscoll spoke to her mom for the last time in 2017.
It wasn't unlike her for, us to get to an argument or her to get upset and, just want to be left alone for a few days. And I never thought that I'd be sitting here 7 years later still looking for her.
This time, she decided to notify the Faulkner County Sheriff's Office, and several ground searches were conducted attempting to find Evans.
They did a search of the tablets that she was using. They did a search on other surrounding properties. At one point, they even came out with drones. This was a few years after the fact, but they came out with drones. They came out with cadaver dogs. Never any slightest inclination that something could have happened or that she was out there.
Driscoll says in December of the same year her mom went missing, she thought she might have seen a glimpse of her and reported it immediately to authorities.
And when the truck got in front of me, it was an older square body Ford truck. It was either a Ford or a Dodge. I'm pretty sure it was a Ford F-150, but it was teal green with a orange yellowish stripe around the side of it.
But 7 years have passed, still no sign of Kelly Evans. Recently, she's brought more attention to the case, working with investigators and the Morgan Nick Foundation to bring her mom home.
I just want to be able to tell her that I love her and that I'm not mad, that she has grandchildren that she hasn't met, that we still need our mom, and I just want her to know that we never gave up on her.
Channel 7's Chris Gay joins us tonight with the update. Chris.
Beth and Chris, Kelly Evans, a mother, a sister, and a wife, went missing from her home on October 14th, 2017, but now her remains have been found.
The hunter found Kelly's remains in these dense woods. These woods are near White Oak Road
where Kelly lived. After coming to a water runoff channel, the hunter discovered Kelly's remains and promptly contacted the Faulkner County Sheriff's Office. On January 16th, the Arkansas State Crime Lab confirmed the remains belonged to Kelly after comparing a DNA swab to a tooth. Nikki Johnston, Evans's daughter, recalls how she felt when she was first informed of the discovery on New Year's Eve.
It's the most devastating feeling of relief.
Johnston says that she could not believe it at first, but after investigators discovered Evans's shoes in her purse along with her remains, reality set in.
We've prayed for closure for so long, but the hope is that Mom's coming home. That hope of her coming home this side of heaven is not happening.
Now, Johnston and her family will finally be able to put her mother to rest.
We are going to lay her to rest because she deserves that after 8 long years.
8 years of searching had finally ended, but not in the way Kelly's family had prayed for. They finally knew where she was. What they still didn't know was how she ended up there. The location of the discovery raised difficult questions. Kelly's remains were found in dense woods near White Oak Road, not far from the area where she had lived. Search efforts over the years had included ground teams, drones, aircraft, ATVs and cadaver dogs. Yet Kelly remained undiscovered until a hunter entered the area more than 8 years later. That doesn't necessarily mean investigators had previously searched the exact spot where she was found. Dense terrain can make searches extraordinarily difficult, and conditions change over time. But after so many years, the discovery naturally left Kelly's family, and anyone following the case, with another question. How could she have been so close, for so long, without being found? And even after her identity was confirmed, one crucial mystery remained. Authorities still had to determine what caused Kelly Evans' death. There was, however, one moment after Kelly disappeared that stayed with her daughter. Nikki later recalled that in December 2017, roughly 2 months after her mother vanished, she believed she may have caught a glimpse of Kelly. She immediately reported what she had seen to authorities. Nikki remembered an older, square-bodied pickup truck, possibly a Ford, with a teal-green color and an orange or yellow stripe along the side. But a possible sighting is not the same as a confirmed one. There was no established proof that the person Nikki saw was Kelly, and the lead did not bring her mother home. Still, imagine what that possibility must have meant to a daughter who didn't know whether her mother had walked away, was somewhere unable to return, or had already suffered something terrible. For years, there was no answer. Only the possibility that somewhere, somehow, Kelly might still be alive. As the months became years, Kelly's disappearance did not simply disappear from the files. Authorities and her family continued looking for answers. Search efforts included surrounding properties and difficult terrain, with drones and cadaver dogs brought in during the years that followed. Nikki kept her mother's name visible. Flyers were distributed. A billboard was put up. She worked with investigators and the Morgan Nick Foundation, refusing to allow Kelly to become just another forgotten missing person case. But every year created more distance from October 2017. Kelly missed birthdays, holidays, and changes in a family that continued growing without her. Her grandchildren were growing up without ever meeting the woman their mother was still searching for. And that may be the hardest part of a disappearance like this. There is no funeral. No final goodbye. No certainty about whether you should grieve or keep hoping. For Kelly's family, hope survived for 8 years. Then came New Year's Eve 2025, and the phone call that finally gave them an answer they had spent years asking for, while creating an entirely new set of questions. For 8 years, Kelly Evans was a missing mother, wife and sister whose family refused to stop looking for her. Today, at least one part of that mystery has finally been answered. Kelly has been found, and her family can finally bring her home and lay her to rest. But finding Kelly did not answer everything. The question that followed this case from the beginning still remains: what happened to her after she disappeared in October 2017, and how did she end up in those woods? For Nikki and the rest of Kelly's family, the years of wondering where she was may be over. Now begins a different search, for understanding, and for whatever answers may still be possible after all this time. Kelly Evans was more than a missing person poster, a billboard, or a case number. She was a mother whose daughter never stopped looking for her. And after 8 long years, her story deserves to be remembered. If new verified information emerges about what happened to Kelly Evans, StoryForge will continue the story. Until then, thank you for watching. Subscribe to StoryForge for more true stories that deserve to be told.